Dear students, today in economics for class 11th, we will cover central problem of an economy and the shifts in production possibility curve. You can see on your screen when we talk about the central problems of an economy, broadly they can be classified into three groups. First is allocation of resources. This problem is concerned with how the resources should be distributed properly. As we already know, the resources are scarce. So, with that resource, an economy always has a problem of what to produce and how much to produce. Then, once you have decided what you have to produce and how much you have to produce, then you should know how to produce, the method, the technology. And then the producer should know this also for whom it has to be produced. So the first one which we said what to produce and how to produce is known as selection of goods. So for that the producer has to go for deciding which wants are to be taken on priority and which ones can wait. So that he would do on the basis of his survey in the market. He will analyze what goods and services are on priority demand. He will go for the production of those things only using the resources. So broadly, these goods can be divided into two groups. One, consumer goods, and the other, capital goods. Consumer goods means like which are directly consumed. Example, wheat, rice, etc. And capital goods, goods which help in the production of the other goods. So the producer really has to decide which type of commodity should be produced. It should be his decision. Now second, he has to decide now how to produce. What comes in this how to produce? That is selection of technique. He has to go for the existing techniques, existing or available techniques of production. And what is his aim behind it? That every producer wants to use only that technique of production which aims at maximum productivity with minimum cost. So that technique would be more or most suitable to the producer. So broadly there are two techniques of production. First we call labor intensive technique, LIT, and the second one is capital intensive technique. Labor intensive technique means where more labor and less capital is used. And capital intensive technique where more capital and less labor is used. All the small scale industries or the micro industries, they are labor intensive. They use more labor than capital. And all the big firms and big industries, they are capital intensive industries. So they use capital intensive techniques. For this, uh, as per the size, as per the productivity, This all we will study under the theory of production. Now the third thing which the producer has to decide, that who is that potential consumer for whom he is going to produce. That we call other way the distribution of goods or income. This problem refers to selection of category of people who will ultimately consume the good. That is, whether to produce goods for more poor and less rich, or for more rich and less poor. So accordingly he has to decide that for whom he is going to produce. He should know the income bracket people for whom he is going to produce his product. Because if a product is quite expensive, so the poor people cannot afford that product. And if the product is quite cheap, the quality is not so good, so rich people are not going to for that. This problem, which we call the for whom to produce, also refers to the subdivision in two categories of production. First, personal distribution, and the second one, functional distribution. Personal distribution means how should be income generated from production or production be distributed among various sections in household. And the functional distribution means this relates to how should output be distributed among different factors of production, viz. Land, labor, capital and enterprise. So this also has to be finalized by the producer, that in what way he is going to distribute his goods and the income which he is generating, because ultimately the labor who is engaged with him, in what way he is going to distribute his income to them, and in what way the products would be distributed to the consumer, because the income would come from the consumers only. And what is the objective behind it? The objective behind such mechanism is to reduce the inequality of income, to reduce poverty, and to add to the social welfare and standard of living of people. So these are the main objectives by which he has to decide the distribution of goods and services. Okay. Now, the next central problem of an economy is, that is, growth of resources. You can see the growth of resources in a country is essential to provide higher standard of living for its increasing population. Thus, the study of all these central problems suggests the scarcity of resources is the root cause of all the central problem of an economy. So it is quite essential that the resources must keep increasing. Otherwise, the future generation would not be able to get a larger GDP. So, for fulfilling the requirement of the increasing population to provide them a better living standard, the growth of resources must take place. The other central problem of an economy is the fuller utilization of resources. The resources have to be used quite efficiently. Their underutilization or their wastage should not be there. How can an economy give fuller employment to its utilized and underutilized existing resources? This has to be planned so that those resources can be used in the optimal way. So these are the central problems of an economy which we have discussed. Now we are coming to the different kinds of economies which exist. You can see a table on your screen. So broadly, the economies are divided into three categories. The kind of economic plan by which the different countries develop their economy. They increase the size of their GDP. First we call the market economy. The other way, it can also be termed as the capitalist economy, which is controlled, managed, and regulated by the demand and supply of the market. And for this, the government has no direct controlling on this kind of economic structure. That is based upon the price mechanism. The price in the market, the quality of the product in the market, the demand of the product in the market is going to decide. It can also be termed as a free economy. Example can be like USA. USA is a free economy. The other kind of economic structure is known as centrally planned economy, or you can call it a socialist economy. It can be also termed as controlled economy. In this kind of economy, the economic activities are under the direct control of the government. The government regulates the whole economic activities. That means the public sector undertaking would be involved, but the private sector would not be there. And there would be no competition. The example of this kind of economic structure is Russia, which is a centrally planned economy. The third kind of economy is mixed economy, in which both the market economy and the central planned economy have support. The market is governed by the demand and supply, as well as the government also has a control on them. So this kind of economic structure is called the mixed economy, like India. In this one, competition exists only in the private sector. The public sector is being controlled by the government. Government is managing as per its own pace. So this kind of economy can also be termed as dual economy. Right? So go for it one time. We'll cover the rest in the next video, which would be shifts in production possibility curve. Thank you.